Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crisp knife. And nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
The sleeper has awoken.
Indeed. Hi guys, hello and welcome to Weave the Tale. Tonight we are playing episode 5 of Dune, Blades of the Hidden, the Adventures in the Imperium book by Modifius Entertainment. We are so excited to be here. Before we get to the blood, sand, and spice, let us introduce our players, starting with Jace.
Hello, I'm Jace Ridley. You can find me at Jace Ridley pretty much everywhere. I'm a writer, content creator, streamer occasionally, and I like to play games like this, so hope to see you around.
All right, and Allie.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Pitchford, or Allie. You can find me on Twitter at LexiPhoenix, and I am a writer and game designer, and been doing a lot of these RPG streams lately, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. So, ha!
Yeah, don't stop. You're really
Mark.
good.
Yeah,
Hi.
right?
Yeah, super good. Hi, I'm Mark Hugh Anderson from Mondo Cane Publishing. Happy to be back. We took a little bit of a break. I'm really excited to see where this chronicle scenario. What are we calling this?
Campaign?
There you go. I'm excited to see where this campaign goes. So thank you so much for having me weave the tale and everybody here.
And finally, our wonderful guest, James.
Hi there. I'm James. I'm playing Dr. Liette Kynes, role of a lifetime, and I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. All right. So basically, for those of you who, sorry. Before I forget, I should do the important things, which is this season, Weave the Tale is sponsored by the aforementioned Modifius Entertainment, Green Ronin Publishing, Free League Publishing, and Imagining Games. We have some amazing rewards set up also for retweet goals, donation goals, sub goals, etc. Hitting some of these goals helps support the cast and crew, so please consider giving them a peek. So far, there have been many series of dramatic events that have unfolded because of people hitting some of these goals. So definitely super awesome, and keep them in mind. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to get to game. Last week, holy moly, that was a bit of an explosive session. Theron came back, brought our players a present in the form of Raquel, who's basically a pirate queen and smuggler. And game ended with Glossu Vahn giving the ultimatum of basically something was taken from me. So now there will be blood. I don't care whose, I'm just going to get blood until I feel satiated and satisfied. So, as well as the point that spice tithes are going to be increased across the board, because everybody should suffer since he's unhappy. So that is the situation that our players find themselves in right now. And yeah, I guess I would like to start with Zev and Cassandra, because basically you guys had captured initially, by accident, a couple of spies, and one of them you had revealed to be the one of you had revealed to be working for Evanesque, and it was a rough situation where somebody that he loved had been held hostage, pretty much, so that he was forced to work for them. The other is a young woman, and we're going to say her name is Ridley because I can't remember what her name was originally. And so she was also very suspicious and obviously working for someone else. But you hadn't had a chance to determine who. And now that things have either settled enough or been cranked up, it feels prudent to the Lady Cassandra to find out exactly, how many vipers are hanging out in her nest. So at this point, Ridley has been in this prison cell for at least, I would say, it's been what, like a little over a week, probably maybe 2 weeks thereabouts. Um, while she has been, cared for as well as I assume, you would care for any generic prisoner, unless you have been taking particular time to be excessively like not great. Um, she doesn't. It's very obvious that like she hasn't been sleeping very well, and she's lost some weight, and just kind of seems a bit more less put together, shall we say? Because if you recall, there was kind of that like demure, but very obviously an act kind of vibe to her, where she was playing at being the innocent kitchen helper, whatever, but there was more to her. So at this point, Cassandra, with your training, you feel like she might be ready to talk because she's been sitting here and stewing for this amount of time. So let's start it off.
All right. Well, so I guess we would head down to the holding cells then.
Mm-hmm.
And she would have been mistreated. That's not
Yeah.
really Cassandra's way.
Mhm.
Like, obviously not going to be, opulent accommodations, but it's not going to be like inhumane either. But she'll go down with Zev. Have the guards, open the cell and let them inside. And she'll wave them back, have them wait outside the cell until they're done. Because it's a chat. We're not here to torture. We're not here to do anything untoward. We just want to have a discussion. Well, do apologize for this inevitable discussion to have taken this long, but, well, things have been rather hectic. How are you doing? She'll say to the to the.
I'm locked in a cell, and I don't know whether or not I'm going to live or die. With respect, how do you think I'm doing?
You're not certain whether you will live or die. Is there a
That depends
reason you
on
should
you.
be afraid of dying?
I mean,
I've-
that depends on you. I don't know you. You don't know me. I know that you, we all know the masters that we serve, and the methods that they carry out everything. So, why would I not believe that you would trend towards cruelty?
The master, or in this case, mistress that I serve, is standing next to me. I do not know who you serve.
That was my next question. I am not one to trend toward cruelty. It is not something that I find necessary more often than not. And it is certainly never something I have taken pleasure in. But I have questions. It is clear that... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say real fast that she has the let's say she has like a jaded trait right now, and if you want to try to get her to believe that you are, different from the Harkonnen and everything, I would like a communicate test, please. At difficulty 2.
All right. Communicate.
Yes.
Helps if I'm in the right place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-mm. The one time I'm not prepared. Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Communicate. And I don't know. Truth? Duty.
Ooh. Well, do you have a drive listed for truth?
I don't. I believe I do for duty though. Also
Okay.
for justice.
Ooh. I would take any of those. Just let me know which you think is the stronger roleplay option. Because I do think justice is kind of cool with like, no, I believe in fair practices.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Okay.
Okay. 2 dice. And then I do have, well, diplomacy focus. This is less diplomacy and more of an interrogation, but
I will allow you to use that focus because the whole thing is you're trying to make her believe that you're not gonna just be terrible. And that feels like a diplomatic approach versus an intimidating approach. Like if you were like, no, tell us what we want, or you get the hose or something like that. Like
that's the other use for the room.
Yes. Also, I did want to see passive scrutiny.
Yes.
Since I do get that free piece of information, I would
Yes.
like to know. Generally speaking, she is supposed to be a like a kitchen worker, like a low
Yes.
tier
Mhm.
servant type.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be looking at her body language, how she's holding herself, and any sort of sign that she might be reacting to this in a way that isn't typical for
Yes.
someone of that position.
So you
So
would
how's she
notice
doing?
in particular that, like, while, she is playing at being scared and, just kind of like that, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, I'm anxious, I don't, like I don't know where we are, blah blah blah, like we all might die, and yada yada. um Her hands are very still, and her breathing, you can see her chest falls, like, they don't look panicked. She enough to know that this person has probably, like, undergone some sort of, training for dealing with these high pressure, high intensity situations. Like this is probably not her first interrogation. But she just has that innocent face, and now she looks even more unhappy because she's been sitting here forever.
Fair enough.
And it looks like you got the 2 successes, so good job. So yeah, we'll say that her position goes from, like, untrusting to, like, neutral. So she can be talked into that space of, like, okay, I feel less, like, she does seem to, like, relax a little bit in her body posturing and stuff, but she's still on her guard. So continue.
There have been questions that have arisen, given that, certain elements of your story, as I am led to believe, do not quite add up. So, I will ask this simply. Why are you here? Not in this room. Why are you on this vessel?
I was told to watch and listen and report.
I see. And to whom do you report?
I don't know his name. We do not to stop situations like this. We do not use names for obvious reasons. But I work for your liege.
Ah. Well. And she'll look at Zev.
Yeah, I'm going to ask right away. I would like to try to verify that based on all available information.
It seems, yeah, like, is it a test, or is it just,
No, it's just
straight out? Okay.
straight
Yeah.
up.
it seems like she is telling the truth, at least as far as she understands it. Like, you feel pretty confident, like, with the timbre of her voice and the way that she, you know, like, maintained eye contact, like, she is telling the truth.
What is it you were told to watch for and listen for?
What is happening here is it was going to be important to the future of Arrakis, as far as they understand it to be, but you have to understand, I am just a cog, and a single cog does not understand the full extent of what a machine does. I don't know its purpose, I don't know where it goes or what it is meant to do, but the two houses that were working with you, or that you were sent to negotiate for, are not loyal houses. Like, you recognize that by now, right? I mean, anyone could see it, and before I go further, though, all of us know that any information I give you, if it gets back to them, I will face a fate far worse than anything you guys could do to me. No offense. I'm sure your torturers are very great. Theirs are way better. So, I need some sort of protection or guarantee before I do or say anything.
Should you choose to assist us, I could see fit to try to ensure that you have a place of safety. At the very least.
You and I both
I have no intention of
know-
handing anyone over to be tortured.
You and I both know that that is not enough. If they want me, if this gets out that I said things, they will destroy your house and wipe it from existence just to do so. And they won't even blink at it. That's just who they are. You've seen it done.
Indeed. Then, it is certainly all within our best interests to avoid any of that getting out, isn't it?
I want a new identity, and I want to get away from this fucking planet. Literally anywhere else.
That
Zev?
can be arranged.
Okay. So, your house has been up and coming, and there have been questions given the lady's past dalliances with the other house that, or with House Adder, that if put in a situation where you had to choose between your loyalty to the Harkonnen and mitigating some of their own resurrectionist opinions, or insurrectionist, sorry, opinions. What would you choose? But there were also questions about Raban and that bastard that he kept. And these were things that my employer was very interested to continue to test.
So this entire exercise was less about the mediation between these houses, but more a test for us. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised.
Like I said, I am just a cog in the machine, much like you are. And it's the Baron that controls all the levers. Only he understands what it does. The bastard had he was becoming a liability for the house.
I see. Then I will ask you a question that I'm certain you might not even know the answer to, but I would be remiss if I did not ask it. Did the Baron have the bastard killed?
I am likely not the only agent that is here. In fact, I would assume that I am not.
I had assumed the same. But you are the one we have access to at the present.
That was not my task, so I cannot say. But if you knew that, say, you had a situation with a lot of houses of questionable loyalty under you, that perhaps, and the governor you put in charge is known to have a hair trigger and easily provoked. Well, that's just a great situation for you that you just win regardless of what happens, right?
I see. Well, given that your entire task was to watch and listen, I would assume you have your own methods of surveillance arrayed around the ship.
I did, but that was weeks ago, so who even knows?
Yes, but I don't need anything from recently. I would ask where you would keep the access to the feeds you would have received from these devices.
I had hollowed out a small space in my bedpost for film wire to fit.
Well, Excellent. Any surprises that we would need to be concerned about?
If you move the there is a small needle coated in a chomarchy that is on a pressure sensitivity, and then she sort of makes a gesture of like how to specifically tap it to like get it so it doesn't activate the thing.
Excellent. Well then, one last question before I turn things over to Zev to see to it that we uphold our end of the bargain. Which specific areas did you have tapped, or did you have the entire ship tapped?
No. I kept eyes on the rooms of the Lord and Lady of Adder and Vesperus, on Shadon's specific room, and on your room. I had to prioritize, and time was short.
I would like to know exactly how you managed to do that and us not find any of them on the many, many security sweeps done by our weapons master.
I am paid very well to be very good at what I do.
And those were the only rooms?
Yeah, like I said, I did not have as much time as I would have liked, so I prioritized.
Of course. Well, you've been forthcoming. I see no reason not to ensure that you at least are given a chance of getting out of here safely with a suitable cover. Zevier, do you believe you can handle that?
Certainly.
I appreciate your candor.
At this point, again, even if you do go back on your word, like I said, whatever you do to me would be far less terrible than what they would do to me.
Oh, of that I am quite certain. Well, with that, she will just... well, I'll do one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use... hyper awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So that will use up one of the momentum we have. But, hyper awareness, I want to ask... Specifically, when I asked her what rooms she had bugged, I want to know if she was telling the truth. That's my first question.
Let's see. And there's no roll for that, right?
No, it's just whenever I spend momentum to obtain information about the current situation, I can ask two questions instead of
Awesome.
one.
Fabulous. Okay. So let me think. I will say that let's see, what else would it be anything else? Let me think. Probably the yeah, so basically the rooms that she mentioned are true. And it also seems like, she might be holding one back, but like it doesn't seem like it is necessarily like what do you call it? Like, it doesn't seem like it's a malicious holding back so much as just like, I don't know if this would be useful or relevant kind of situation. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. As for the second question. Trying to think now. I mean, I definitely know that she is absolutely correct that whatever the Harkonnen would do to her would be far, far worse than anything we could do. But does she seem like she would I get the sense from her that she would be the sort to try to leverage anything she has seen to save her own skin, despite the deal we just cut? Do I think she'll honor the deal, essentially?
So basically, like, again, she still has that jaded trait. So, you get the read that, like, she would honor it provided everything goes down and she is able to escape, but like, if she's captured, she's saving her ass. Like, the point that, again,
I mean,
she
yeah,
got
like
captured,
at that point, yeah.
and it's just like, well, I'm basically gonna die since I haven't been reporting. Fuck. Yeah. So, and then, you would also get that vibe though, that she is a professional, and can also be swayed with Solaris, because dollars.
Okay. If there is... And I'll kind of pause a moment. If there's anything else you believe might be of use, I'm certain that we might be able to ease your passage further. Well, we might not be a great house. The House Lucinor is a house of means. And while I cannot promise you a fortune, a few Solaris to ease your passage might at least make your ability to stay ahead of whoever might see through your new identity. It might make it a bit easier to evade.
Roughly how many Solari are we talking, my lady?
So, I'm sure Cassandra would know a suitable amount to offer.
Yes.
Allie does not know what a Solari is worth.
Right? I mean, it kind of sounds like I'll just say we're gonna go to like US dollar equivalents, because that kind of felt like what they were doing in the movie, where like, your fancy space travel costs like millions of Solari or whatever. Like, that seems like a big deal amount, whereas like, a few hundred here and there is like, okay, this is the cost of doing business. I would say, like, I don't know, 10,000 Solari is probably like a good, like, this is a bribe that you can use to,
Yeah,
like,
this is a
you know,
solid
get
amount,
your
but
shit
it's
together.
not going to be like. Yeah, it's
Like,
a solid amount, but it's
life-changing.
not going to be like detrimental. It's not going to be detrimental to the house, but it's going to be life changing
Yeah.
for the person we're giving it to.
Yeah.
I could see
So-
fit to offer you a small stipend of 10,000 solari.
So one of the other places that I had observed was that one observatory that you have. I just it seemed like a great place for secret meetings. And there was what I noticed when you had your meeting with the Lady Dahlia that first night. There was somebody watching. I ended up following this woman, and at the time, she was posing as a laundress. I don't know if she is still there. The smart money would be to move on and keep changing and adjusting. But I took a moment to talk to her as just, you know, the scullery maid to this laundress, and she was very obsessed with you to a unsettling degree. So I would be concerned about that if I were you, Lady Lucinor.
Indeed. Well, thank you. Zevier here can see to ensuring that our end of the bargain is met. I believe I have no other questions. Did you, Zev?
Not at the moment.
Well,
And when can I get out of this cell?
In time. Apparently, I have work to do. I will be back later.
Of course.
at the very least, we can see that you are better cared for in the interim. While we do not treat those in our care poorly, perhaps a better meal or two is in order.
Or a better mattress.
I will see what we can do.
Thank you.
She'll step out.
As soon as we get out of earshot of the cell, though, I don't know, a few rooms away, whatever, as long as there's no way possible that she could hear us. My lady, there is no smart option except to put her out the airlock. I don't care what you offer her. Someone will find her. She will talk.
I know.
I do not like it any more than you do, but I'm also certain were he here, Raul would agree with me. She her loyalty can be bought that easily.
I noticed. Do what you need to do, and she'll walk off.
All right. I love it. Are you guys good? Shall we take it to the next scene? All right. That was awesome. Let's bring it over to the chapel for Mark. If you could please describe what this place looks like now and what Dr. Maharil is currently doing.
So Dr. Maharil has been spending quite a bit of time in the chapel. I guess kind of redecorating. This chapel is kind of one of this very similar to a chapel that you would find in a hospital or an airport. Just a place of worship for anybody who comes in if they were to need it, given that the house takes so many guests. So it's really been unbranded, so to speak. Dr. Maharil has been making changes. There are lavish blue velvet drapes on the walls. There are unusual spiral symbols that are kind of drawn on various pews, carvings with certain words put on the back of the pews. He's really fashioned the altar space to be less a place that you walk up to pray, and something that is, I guess, more appropriate to host someone who would be speaking, such as myself. On a daily basis, the doctor will speak to those who would listen, and he has matched the drapery of this room in his own clothes, wearing quite a lot of blue. And at the moment, he would probably be writing in a book, standing at the altar on the stage and just kind of quietly writing to himself.
James?
And then Dr. Kynes will walk in and look around, touch some things, explore. And as soon as the doctor has noticed him, he'll say, "Forgive me, but I don't remember any of this from my last reading of the Orange Catholic Bible. Have you turned to some new inspiration?"
Oh, yes. Hi. Well, welcome. Yes, the Orange Catholic Bible. Well, a great book, an inspirational book, inspiration to us all. And I feel that this room could have used a little bit more spirit, a little more color. The blue is so nice. It reminds me of the sky. On Arrakis, excuse me. The sky on Arrakis, not the blackness void of space, of course.
I see. And do you spend a lot of time under the sky when you're on Arrakis, Doctor?
You know, Doctor, is probably more appropriate for you these days. I like the sky in Arrakis because the yellowish orange sands juxtaposed against a blue sky is so nice. I find myself looking towards Arrakis these days. And when I was on Arrakis, I would find myself staring up at the sky quite often. You've spent some time there, haven't you?
I have indeed.
Quite a bit of time. More time than most. I'm fascinated with. I mean, when I was there, I never quite spent enough time looking at the people or Arrakis itself. I'm fascinated with those people. The Fremen.
What
I mean,
and what do you know of the Fremen or the people of Arrakis? You as an
admittedly, Doctor,
outsider.
I know as much as an outsider would know, which frankly I admit is not nearly enough. If I can, I've been making amends lately, admitting my faults, and there's one fault that actually comes to mind. I should write about this in the new book, but the treatment of people that are so different than ourselves, that seem to be, as an outsider, living with a kind of frightening alien harmony while facing a kind of mistreatment. I was dismissive of the Fremen. And some would say cruel.
What has inspired such a surprising turnaround in your perspective, Doctor? Surely, Theron can't be so fascinating as to change everything about yourself.
Oh no, simple thoughts and sudden realizations caused by great ripples of time that cut straight through you when you experience a cosmic event. A cosmic event that has shined a spotlight directly onto Arrakis, and more specifically, the communities outside of the Imperium.
What an interesting phrase. Ripples through time. I know someone else who speaks. Tell me, when was the last time you spoke with a Reverend Mother? Of the Bene Gesserit.
I have been serving this house for as long as I can remember, and I feel a special value in the Bene Gesserit school because the Lady Cassandra's mother, and of course Lady Cassandra herself, I've been an outsider of the Bene Gesserit, and admittedly I've not spoken with the Reverend Mother. Gosh, yes, I don't believe we've ever spoken.
I see. And tell me, Doctor, do you sometimes have dreams that seem very real?
Yes, I found a sacrament, a discovery. I'm not the first to discover it, obviously, but I have, uh, in bondage, freed my mind through the prescience of melange. And I'm finding myself not only thinking back on that transformative experience that I keep talking around but not quite admitting directly to you, but I find myself, the tickles come back. It tickles the back of my brain, and I feel like I'm chasing a kind of worm or dragon, I've never really gotten back to that full prescience. Just a hint, just a taste. With each sacrament that I take, in honor of this melange and in honor of time itself. I wish I could have it more, but the cosmos will only allow me to have what I need.
The future is a hard thing to hold on to, and frequently extremely dangerous when one does. Doctor, I should very much like to read that book that you've begun writing. Would you mind lending it to me when you have a chance?
It would be my honor. My plan is to release this to anyone. My experience is everyone's experiences, and of course, I would love for you to read this.
Please let me read it before you begin sharing it. Just a quick editor's glance. I have some small experience being published. I should hate to see you make any mistakes.
It's not just one book. I've got many. I've got a whole library at this point. Gosh, pages upon pages every day. I'll orate here, and I'll go back with Theron, and they tell me, Dr. Maharil, my love, just put it on paper, please, because I'm tired of hearing you talk. You can take this one. It's half finished, but I think all of them are half finished. I'd love to know your thoughts.
A wise man once said that no life's work should be finished while you are still alive.
I like that. That's really nice. You said something about the future. I found it difficult to live in the past, and you saying that it's so hard to hold on to the future. We find ourselves kind of stuck at that central point, that initial ripple when the rock hits the water and the water splashes up. It's kind of what I feel like a little bit. I gotta ask though, why is this so fascinating to you? Some of the people that come in here, the engineers and the staff, they love to hear about all this. Not really experiencing any of this, maybe experiencing it vicariously through me, or I don't know the words that I'm using, but you seem to be, I don't know. Do you have visions?
Oh no, Doctor. I'm not so blessed as yourself. I am merely a student of many cultures, and obviously I study so much of Arrakis's culture. I find the occasional similarity in some of their holy books, and I'd like to see how deep the well runs.
So, you know about the Fremen, then?
Only as a student of the overall planet. It is, after all, my job.
Yes, it is your job, and you're a learned man. I'd love to know more about them. And I feel like we don't. I feel like we organize ourselves in the Imperium in a way that is imbalanced. And though they seem to be in bondage, they have a way about them. There's a knowing glance. It's not just the blue eyes, They look at you, but they don't just look at you. They kind of look through you. I used to think that it was insulting, but thinking back on it now, maybe there's something there.
Well, I would be surprised to to know or to learn that they have anything more than perhaps the knowledge of any native people compared to outsiders. They understand Arrakis more deeply than any of us will. But I think perhaps all of that spice has gone to your head, if I may be so blunt.
Yes. Well, everything in moderation, as is my new mantra. Everything in moderation. I used to overdo it, and now I don't anymore. And I'm not fixed or better because I feel that we are all broken in one way or another. But there are those who aren't, and you seem to be one of those people who really have it put together. It's admirable. You have an air about you that's controlled, and I think that it can be overwhelming at first to have you in the room. But you also have that glint in your eye where you kind of observe and look through people.
The habit of a scientist is my only excuse for such rudeness. Perhaps
Of course, it's not rude. I don't mean to insult. I'm sorry. I meant that as a compliment. I meant that as a compliment.
I appreciate it, and I will take it as one. I simply mean that in your fervor of new revelation, be careful not to see that which is not there.
Jumping in shadows and thinking they're God.
But maybe that's just one of the perils of the chapel.
Could be. There's no name for this yet. Does, how often do you speak with the Reverend Mother? If you don't mind me prying.
Of course. As a member of the Imperium, whenever I am called before the Emperor, there is generally a Reverend Mother in his presence to act as truthsayer. Similarly, I find myself accompanying them on diplomatic missions, things of this nature. I speak to them maybe once a year.
Well, not to ask for another favor, but when it is your year anniversary to meet with the Reverend Mother, I would very much like to listen to one of them, to her.
I will see what I can do, but I of course can promise nothing.
Of course, don't, because there's so many permutations, and we're all living in all of them. Anything can happen. The ripples of time wash us away like an ocean.
What an interesting metaphor, Doctor.
Yes, a metaphor. Question about your role here.
Yeah.
In terms of Conley. Let us hope that never happens in these negotiations. But if they were to, hypothetically, what would your role exactly entail?
In the strictest sense, as the acting on behalf of the Imperium, it would be my call to ensure that all of the laws of Canley are followed, that no one strays into any weaponry that would be hazardous for all of us, and that the fundamental restraint against nuclear weapons was followed. Doctor, you seem a man of unusual perceptiveness, however, so I will mention that the Emperor in these acts has his own agenda, and that, of course, it would be my duty to help facilitate that will, which might be different from what others might want out of the situation.
Not left up to chance. The Emperor is a great ruler to do so, because a variable like that could be very detrimental to all the pieces that he's laid out.
It would be hard to stay Emperor without such a vested interest.
Should say a different result that would be preferable to the Emperor. Would that ever include Conley happening, allowing or facilitating, or just standing out of the way for a situation like that? Would that be would that ever be beneficial, or have? We're talking hypotheticals here, but would that be beneficial?
Doctor, obviously, I cannot speculate on the Emperor's frame of mind. I will simply note that the past 3 Conleys that were declared within the Landsraad, the Emperor sanctioned none of them, but also did not interfere in any of them.
Understood. Understood. Well, I'm glad you're here, and through you, his presence is recognized. I'd like to
I look forward to reading through this book. You were about to ask me a favor.
Yes, if you don't mind, if I can be so bold. We are in a chapel. If you would like to take a sacrament with you, it would be my honor.
Thank you, Doctor. I will accept such a gift.
So the doctor picks up a it looks like it's made out of kind of a slate stone. Clearly a metal box that he puts on the altar and opens it up. And he pulls out a blue velvet bag, closes the lid, and pulls out a cup. He takes a sacrament out, which is a small cookie. A spice cookie that he puts in the bowl, and he holds up to the sky, whispers some words to himself, looks into the bowl, cup rather, and holds it out. Doctor.
Thank you. And he will take the cookie and similarly whisper some words that Dr. Maharil cannot hear, although one of them sounds mysteriously almost like maker, and imbibes the cookie and says, "Doctor, I'm afraid I have many things to look after, not least of which is an entire planet. But if I may leave you with this thought, what do you think the spice means to the people who live next to and within it every single day?" And
that is a
then
great
he'll
question.
walk away.
That is a damn good question. Fuck, that is a good question. And he'll start putting everything back. Take a sacrament and kiss the sacrament. Feel it on his lips. And he feels compelled to spit on the floor. And he closes his eyes and eats the sacrament. And he puts the box away. Goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye.
A short time later, when Zev knows that there's been nobody in the chapel except for the doctor, for at least 10, 15 minutes, Zev enters, stands about 20 feet behind and just watches for a minute. Interesting.
You... Oh, hey! Zev! Zev, hello. You like what I've done with the
This is what
place?
you've been doing lately, I see.
Well, I have been white-knuckling it. And it's really difficult. And Theron said I needed a hobby. So I started cleaning, and cleaning turned to organizing, and organizing turned to decorating. There's a lot more color here. I don't know. The gray and orange was just icky.
Reminds me of my homeworld. A little bit.
Really? Why? How?
It's not important.
That's nice, though. This place is supposed to... I wanted... The more I put up, the more warm feeling I was getting, and it's... I'm glad I'm not the only person to feel that here.
You know that
Is that...
everything that's
Sorry.
happened,
Yeah, I do.
it's been a lot lately, and I know I haven't really been around, but you seem a lot more at peace than you were only a few weeks ago.
I feel like, and it's okay that you were doing your mentat thing. The sciences that you're able to really hone in on, I've always kind of been jealous of. I get distracted so easily, and you just hone in. But I feel like
means to
I'm
an end.
awake. Yeah. I mean, it helps all of us, really. But more importantly, I think that I hope you're valued. That's a
Well, I
really
want
weird.
you to realize that just because things have changed, because things have become more difficult, that I am beyond the ability to forgive.
I know. I don't want you to. I think I've experienced your forgiveness and your hatred and all the permutations and options that are there. I don't want to make one happen over the other, because I think that everyone should flow in the direction in which their will takes them. And your will right now is not forgiveness.
It is. And you've never had my hatred, Doctor. That is reserved for very few.
It's very nice of you to say.
Zev will reach into the little pouch that is affixed to their belt and pull out of it a vial, not a large one, but a relatively decent sized vial, completely full of spice, and hand it to the doctor. Turn and leave without another word.
Zev, if I may, just, this is, oh gosh. Let me return. Don't go yet. Just give me 1 second. And he'll take the bag of spice and he'll put it right on top of the altar and whisper to it, and then turn around and grab a book. A really old book, really old leather-bound, old-school paper book. And walk up to Zev and hand it to him.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am sorry for a lot of things, but your disappointment in me is not the reason why I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I consider you a friend, and I was not listening. So please take this gift. Your gift is huge for this place, and I do appreciate it, but this is a gift from a friend to another friend. And he holds the book out.
Zev accepts it. We do a lot of strange things for love.
Yeah.
And this time, Zev does walk away completely and does not look back.
So, when Zev leaves the chapel, there's a person waiting in the hallway. They appear just like a generic everyday individual, one of those people that has those kinds of faces that you don't even consider like they look so generic that like you don't even recognize the specific features because there's nothing unremarkable or nothing remarkable about them in how they look, like basically like a stock model photography kind of person, and they're dressed up in basically the house colors of some attaché to the lady, but you can recognize the paleness of their eyes, and just that look of hidden intelligence that specifically as being a trait that relates to Theron. And you would also know that they did this intentionally, so you would know. And it is obvious that they are waiting for you specifically, Zev. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say they stop. Obviously, understanding what's happening, and go ahead. Sorry.
I understand that you wish to speak with me as well. Yes?
Yes. we need to have a
You
discussion
lead, I will
as
follow.
to. Okay. In that case, Zev would lead Theron back to Zev's office, probably. It's the easiest place to talk.
Can you describe what this office looks like?
Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess. There are tablets full of information everywhere. There are literal I'm sorry. Sometimes words just don't form in my head. Clipboards. There are clipboards all over the place with like film that has records on it everywhere, just stacked, and probably more coffee cups than there should be. Because I don't usually let anybody in here. But there is open seating, and it isn't like disgusting. It's just disorganized.
It is very obvious, one could say, that Zev has a lot that they do. They spend more time working than caring about little things like controlling chaos. I will say that, Theron would walk to one of the seats, again, very formally, very politely, and just remain standing until Zev takes the seat first.
Zev would sit, put down a little recorder cube. Before we can make it so you can walk freely, I need information. I need to know your capabilities. I need to know that should this house call on you to help defend it, that you will be there. And I need to know essentially what information you would like put into this new identity.
I have already sworn to the Lady Cassandra and to Raul that I will do what it is you would have of me. Regardless of what it is, I am not the most combative, but I have been trained in those arts. As for what I am good at, I was designed in a similar way to yourself, I suppose, to be an object that serves a purpose, and one who provides status for those whom I served. To that end, mostly, I was expected to be beautiful and entertaining, but I can be whatever it is that is needed.
I see no need to put you in harm's way unless absolutely necessary. You would be best served on this ship. And I'm not asking... No, I suppose I am asking. Not what it is we want you to do. You are being granted a degree of freedom. What is it you want to do with it? I need to understand you, to understand the situation.
with respect, sir, you, all of you, have been very kind, and very, I do not know how to answer that question yet, because it is only very recently where I have been in a place to make my own decisions. And this is, it's very new for me. But as I told the security officer, what I want is to live, but more than anything, what I want is to be with Dr. Maharil. He opened this path for me, and I can't see walking it without him.
Then if you can't answer that, which I can understand, at least choose a form for yourself. Not now, but soon. I will begin to do what I can.
Thank you. This is probably a bit, I suppose with everything going on, that it's really kind of a bit silly, and maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but I really do actually enjoy dancing, and I am quite good at it. So I would really like to perform that duty again, should the Lady Lucinor desire it, of course. I it was something that was mine, and I want to hold on to that.
I will see what I can do. I only say that because the idea of the dancing, while fine, might identify what you are. But it's definitely not something that can't be worked around.
I know enough how to hide what I am and what I am capable of. So I will not put any of you in danger. I promise that.
We are always going to be in some degree of danger. One of the reasons that we'd like for you to stay at this point is because you've proven that maybe you can be trusted. And trust isn't easy to come by.
I understand that. And I know it is not my place, but I would ask that you do take seriously the effort that the doctor is undertaking to better himself in this new journey that he is exploring. He has a deep and abiding kindness within his soul that is a rarity in this world that we all inhabit, and truly that is something to be treasured and safeguarded. At least that's what I think. I don't really know if there is anything else just shy of extraordinary that could have gotten through to me after the after the way that I have come to be here.
We are not the Harkonnen. And while there was initial mistrust, for unfortunately somewhat obvious reasons, all things can be worked around. And I do believe that the doctor is doing something that he needs to do. But I think that that's all the information that I needed for now. Please consider what I said. You will also need to choose a new name.
Gosh.
Just a public one.
Yes, of course.
At least.
Thank you. I never really thought I would be in this sort of position before, and I confess I feel a bit overwhelmed by the possibility. Is that strange? I don't.
I can't say. I chose this path, you didn't.
But thank you. Because you are also choosing to help me and put your faith in me. And that cannot have been easy either.
I have my reasons. I think that's probably all.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say that's probably where Zev would cut the conversation.
They would rise, again, very gracefully and bow, and then wait to be given leave to exit the space. I guess for now we're gonna cut to a brief break. We're gonna be out for like 10 or so minutes, and we're also gonna throw up our player poll. So for the record, our players are Zev, Dr. Maharil, and Cassandra, as Dr. Kynes is an NPC. So please, please, please give a vote. You have seen some incredible RP so far. Vote for which PC you were really impressed by this evening. The person who wins the player vote gets to have another AP that goes towards buying the skills and talents on their character sheets. APs are advancement points in the system, so super super great. And it gives you guys a chance to chime in on cool moments and cool stuff. Otherwise, yeah, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. So let's go with that spice flow, guys.
Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crysknife, and nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
Oh man. All right. Welcome back. And thank you guys for voting. Cassandra gets the extra advancement point. Woohoo.
Yeah.
So some time has passed. Our players have had the chance to percolate a bit on the various interpersonal, spiritual, and practical things that they have had to deal with this day. But for now, everyone's focus is on the, let's say, a bit of the elephant in the room, right? Because Theron had brought back this prize, this woman by the name of Raquel, who is universally known on Arrakis as being the smuggler to go to, with one of the larger networks of shady underground operatives. Your Zev is keenly aware of how many pockets she has her hands in, most specifically and most obviously being that of House Harkonnen. And Cassandra, with your hyper awareness, is that the one, or is it the other one, the passive scrutiny?
Specifically, passive scrutiny. That's the one that gives me the auto.
So with that, I will say that you are aware that, again, while smuggling and everything is illegal, that the reason that she is perhaps able to operate a bit more openly is because she does jobs directly for the Harkonnen, and that gives her that little bit of being able to have a blind eye cast on other things that she has done. And Zev, you have the same talent, right? Or no, am I wrong?
Slightly different.
Okay, cool.
It was Raul that also had
sure.
passive scrutiny.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure. All right. Cool. So, are you all going to this, or is it just Cass and Zev again?
Oh, well, that's up to the lady Cassandra and Zev if they would have Dr. Maharil.
Well, he could still prove useful, I say, with the out-of-character desire to involve everyone.
Valid.
No hard feelings. No hard feelings if you don't.
Yep. Okay, and then I guess, are there any other things that you were doing to get set up? Are you having this in a cell or an interrogation room, or describe to me what sort of how you would want to meet with this person? Like, again, as far as like Iraqi politics go, as the heir to a house, that smugglers of her caliber, while not treated like nobility, are treated with a modicum of respect, because having one in your pocket is incredibly valuable, because, again, this gives you that edge for, avoiding like some of the fees of like the Spacing Guild, and also just getting away with stuff that you don't want to report to your liege.
Well, before we set up in a room specifically, just to bring it to Cassandra's attention, Zev would be probably trying to persuade her to speak with Theron first about why this person specifically. What does Theron know about her? Because there's clearly a reason she brought Raquel, as opposed to somebody else Chadon had dealings with.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to get that out of Raquel immediately.
The information that Theron would have given was basically just that, like, this is the person that he was working directly with to skim some spice off the top with tithes and stuff. And, she doesn't know, or sorry, they don't know if it was going to, like, where it was going, or if this was Chadon's thing, or something he was directed to do, or what. But, again, they know that this is the person who he was involved with, and that, like, likely, given everything, probably, like, would have that information about just, like, the many people would have a vested interest in wanting to murder him.
The doctor would set up various collections of tinctures and serums and drugs that could be useful in this type of situation. Some that could numb the body, others that could inflame, some things that could possibly create torpor of some kind, and others that will just simply shift the state of mind of the victim to kind of loose their mind up if that does come into play, as well as a table with the most vicious and ugly and scary looking surgeon tools that he can. Anything that has like rib spreaders and like blades on it, just to kind of collect on the table next to or near where we're going to be doing this interrogation. Not in arm's reach of the victim, or excuse me, prisoner, but in an arm in a noticeable area in the room, so that they could see it and know that that is probably part of the plan, that these tools will be used. Also, maybe we should probably organize to restrain this person.
Oh yeah, there's no way in hell we'd be letting them like just stand around free. Like they're gonna be tied to something.
Yeah.
At the very least.
At this point, how long has Raquel been on the ship?
I would say it's been a couple days, because basically, like, it hasn't been that long since you got the message from our Vahn. So, maybe, I don't imagine you would have put it off for that long, so I'd say probably, 2-3 days?
Okay.
Does that sound about right? Or would you have wanted to,
That sounds...
would have depended on how compliant she was being, whether or not she was given a few days to calm down.
She is a very haughty person, and seemed very much like, this is, just basically swearing up a storm of, this is ridiculous and absurd and like, how dare you, pretty much.
All's in your
Well.
court, Cassandra. It's yours to start.
Oh, it's in my court. All right. I figured I would let Zev take the 4 on this one. Normally I'd turn the questioning over to Raul, but he is presently occupied.
So
See how important you are, Paul? I just want to let you know. I'm going to break the fourth wall here and just say we miss you, Paul. We miss you, Raul.
We miss you.
And we are excited to have you back next time, but you are definitely here in spirit.
Oh, yes. Speaking of Raul in spirit.
Did I hear that?
Thank you, voice from the other world.
Apart from Nathaniel, representing Raul's interests, this play, like, is this happening in a cell? Is this happening in an interrogation room? Is this happening somewhere else? Like, what is the message you guys are attempting to set? Like,
Fear, I would suggest. But Lady Cassandra, if you would rather comfort.
You know what? Let's go with the fear angle this time.
Okay.
In that case,
interrogation room.
Yeah, she's in a very stark, very white room with a drain on the floor, and that's where she's been for 3 days.
Yes, and I would have silently, without speaking a word, or even really recognizing that there is a person there, hook up an IV and a glucose bag, and put like monitors, like sticker monitors on their body. And kind of like take their vitals, and completely ignoring them if she were to say anything at all.
Oh man. So now, the next question I have is basically, has she slept? Like, is this a place that, you guys do have a day-night cycle for, or are you keeping these lights on all the time and, like, doing stuff to keep her from being able to sleep?
There's a bed. It's not super comfortable, but it's a bed. It's clean. Everything in the room is clean. The lights have not been off for 3 days, no.
Okay, cool. All right. So basically then you guys come into this room, and, again, Raquel is a gorgeous woman, who, she, has very much, or at least she did have that dashing rogue kind of energy about her. She is used to living on that edge and the thrill of adrenaline and doing those things that life and death decisions are not uncommon for this woman. This is something that she deals with in the day-to-day, doing the work that she does. Her hair is partially coiled in the side, but otherwise unbound and wild. She has tan skin, and eyes that are beginning to show signs of being that blue within blue of somebody who has been in and out of the deserts of Arrakis for some time and been exposed to those spice fields. She has dark circles under her eyes at this point when you approach her, but there is still that look of like defiance in her features, although it is a weary defiance, obviously. But you know, she waits patiently in that chair and just sees what you guys do.
I will remain toward the back of the room as kind of a looming presence. I feel that's more effective than me doing the direct questioning, which is why I'm turning it over to Zev.
Can I actually make a suggestion that before this begins, before we've actually walked in, you actually don't go in yet, Cassandra?
You do that.
The doctor, you've already in there. You didn't say anything. You just set up your tool. Well, the tools. Okay.
Yep.
Then, in that case, Zev would walk into the room accompanied by Samuel. Samuel would stay at the door. I would walk into the room, basically in one consistent pattern as I walk around, well away from her as she is restrained. If you ever want to see the outside of this cell again, you're going to tell me everything, every single thing that you know about Shadan Suk, and every dealing you have with the Harkonnen.
I was not given to understand Mentat's maid jokes, but that's hilarious.
Is it?
You and I both know that the only reason I am alive at all in this moment is because I have something that you want. And I know enough to know that if I tell you anything, I am not just dead. I am so much worse than dead. So no, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Zev turns and walks out of the room.
The doctor will pass Zev and walk into the room and walk up to the prisoner and grab a vial and hook it up to her IV to flush her body with adrenaline.
Can you roll me? Let's say. I'm guessing it would probably be understand since mental challenges and knowledge. Yeah, let's say the difficulty is. I'm going to say the difficulty is 3 because she is, again, she has lived this life and she is also someone who likely imbibes various substances and poisons for professionally, at a professional capacity. So like this will be an understand test to use your medical knowledge to assess and overcome that willpower.
Okay, so that's a difficulty 3.
Use momentum if you need it.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna have to actually. But
Yes.
use
And
whatever.
You can also give me threat to buy more dice.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'd like to give you threat to buy more dice.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
That's fine.
We do have momentum
Cool.
still. Don't
Oh
we?
wait, you know
do.
what? Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, Lady Cassandra, that is a very good suggestion. It's a better suggestion than what I was going to do. So if I buy an extra dice for momentum, it's just adding one more extra dice.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you have any relevant foci? Because I believe you should have something for what do you call it? Medicine, right?
Yes, I do. I didn't put it on my sheet though.
That's okay.
I feel like
I
it's cheating if I
trust
say.
you.
I feel like it's cheating if I say yes, so I'm gonna say no.
Oh no, it's not cheating.
No, it feels like I would be. So, yes. All right. There we are.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oof.
Only one.
So like, you basically okay, but no crit failure, so that's very good.
Woo! No crit.
So you like inject something into her arm, and she just kind of like looks and is like, "What are you even doing? Like, is this supposed to scare me? Like, is that what's happening here?"
So I'm
Like-
gonna take her pulse for a second. Can I take her pulse while she's talking and to see if it
Yeah.
does anything to her heartbeat?
Her heart is, you know, it is racing a bit, but it is very much the like, you know, it's not from the drug, it's just from the standard thing of like being underslept and in a dodgy situation. Like there's normal levels of adrenaline. And yeah, and she's just like, you know that I legitimately am in and out of Arrakis, right? Like, I go through the spice fields, I work with the sieges, I do all of that stuff. Like, you're going to try to mess with me with drugs?
The patient is unresponsive, and I'm going to grab another couple of vials, and I want to try to induce a chemical coma.
Oh, okay.
Wait, don't put her to sleep though. I would have told you about that.
Oh, I'm already doing it, with the intention to wake her back up with enough adrenaline that I know, using the information that I just gleaned, what her tolerance is, to wake her back up when the Lady Cassandra comes back in. So she doesn't see Lady Cassandra walk in. She wakes up and sees Cassandra in front of her. That's what I'm trying for.
I will say then, do the same test, but we'll make it a difficulty 2 then, to account for, you know, that understanding of what you gleaned. Also, get an AP for failing that test.
Woo. Okay. 1. I've been out of practice. I haven't been.
Yeah.
I have not been
She seems
regularly working with this.
I will say, you don't get her to fall asleep, but she is groggy and is just kind of slumping and listing, like, what are you doing?
That's enough. That'll work. And I'm going to open up the door for Lady Cassandra. When you're ready, I can wake her back up. She is a little sedated.
May I speak with her one more time, my lady?
I'm quite all right with that.
Zev grabs a chair from the hall, brings it in, puts it just outside of Raquel's reach, and sits down in it and manages to catch her swaying gaze and hold it as much as possible. Do you know what an axolotl tank is?
What? That's a lot of words.
A few minutes ago, when I was in here, you said that what they would do to you is so much worse than death. Trust me when I say that there are things worse than anything the Harkonnen can do to you.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty tall order. They get...
The way you feel right now is nothing compared to the feeling of being saturated in chemicals as you are transformed into not a living being anymore, but an incubator. There are things worse than death.
Can I get you to roll me, let's say, a communicate test? I'm gonna give it to you at difficulty 1, to intimidate this drugged up NPC.
So, okay. Just because I really want to make sure that I have a good chance of getting this, can I use my intense study to sub in my understand?
What does the intense study do again?
I'm extremely well read with vast amounts of knowledge. Once per scene, I may use my understand skill on a single skill test instead of any other skill. And I'm counted as having a focus for that test.
I will allow it 100% because of how you described what that all is.
Would that be truth? I mean, I am telling the truth.
Yeah, I'd say either truth or power would be good. Whichever you think is more fitting for the character.
Probably truth.
Okay.
Which truth? And you said I only needed 1, right?
Yes, it is difficulty 1.
I'll spend the momentum. Yeah. Since we have 1, or we have 3 actually. There we go.
Dang. Okay. So like, you know, while she doesn't like physically change much, you know, again with your intensive study, you can see like the pupils in her eyes like dilate slightly from that like shock of like imagining those possibilities. The monitors that the doctor is set up to monitor her heart begin to spike as her heart rate increases from that anxiety. But physically, she is still attempting to play it cool, but like again, you can see that like her hands are shaking from the from that adrenaline, and your threat has very obviously had its intended effect.
Do I have your attention now?
wouldn't do that.
Yes, I would.
We both know that that would be a waste.
Do we?
Yes.
Well then, I suppose that the one way to make sure that that doesn't happen is to answer every single question I ask you.
Except again, there is no way for me to know that you won't just do it at the end anyway.
I have nothing against you, Raquel. I am not here because you have done anything that I necessarily have an issue with. It's not my job to have an issue with it. I am here to find information because that information matters to the people I work for. And I will do anything to make sure I get it.
Hear me out. Let's make a deal. I have ships. I have connections. I will tell you what you want to hear.
No, you'll tell me what I want to know.
Which
And I will
is
be able to
this-
tell the difference.
Fine. But there is going to be a reckoning coming to Arrakis. It is everything that is happening is nearing a boiling point. And I want to be on the winning side. And I imagine you and yours want the same thing, right?
If you want to be on the winning side, then you want to be my friend. You're going to tell me what I want. Because the truth is that I'll let the doctor put whatever he wants into a needle into you until you talk. And if you still don't, then yes, I will make sure you end up on Tleilax. It will happen. So you can either work with us, or you won't work for anyone ever again, willingly.
Ask away.
I want to know who killed Shadan Su.
Everyone was gunning for that dumb motherfucker. But my money would be on DeVries.
And why is that?
The Baron's Mentat. He's not like you. There's something majorly fucked up about that guy. You can't know until you are in the room with him. And he's looking at you with those dead, soulless eyes that don't see a person there. so much as an object that can be maneuvered to whatever advantage he desires. He saw Chidon as a liability. And he is not one to allow pieces on the board that cannot be controlled. So, I don't know. I doubt it was him directly, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had a hand in it. At the very least, he was controlling him with some sort of something. Like, I just know I did a couple runs back and forth to make sure Jadon got his medicine on time. But I'd say a couple days before he was going to come up here to this whatever the fuck you guys are doing, they told me that I didn't need to make the run, which I thought was super weird. And Janan called me from here, demanding that I don't know where he expected me to get, but that just wasn't going to happen. I'm not going to go storming into DD Prime demanding that some bastard get his medicine. Like, no, I like to live. And yeah, I don't know. He was very. It made him like more erratic and more pliable. I don't know. Definitely wasn't himself.
Who else that you are aware of did Chidon have business dealings with?
Oh God. Few of the other houses. He definitely was involved with a lot of the gangs and cartels. He was basically someone who helped Governor Raban with keeping eyes on the underworld more so than like into the places where a Harkonnen can't go. You know what I mean? But as to who would want to kill him, I mean, again, he's bastard born and telling nobles what to do, so I wouldn't be surprised if half of Arrakis didn't want that that guy dead. I mean, you fucking met him, right? I wanted him dead, and I worked with him.
I'm running out of questions in my own.
The doctor's gonna walk into the room and look at Zev. Is the patient cooperating?
The patient has responded to reason for now.
Patient has a name.
Does the patient need more convincing? And he's going to pick up something with a blade on it. I'll remind you that it is my conditioning not to allow any of my patients to die on the table.
That won't be necessary at the moment.
And he's going to look at the patient in the eyes. It's disappointing. Call me back when the patient needs more convincing. And he's going to walk out.
Zev will also walk out of the room without saying anything and close the door behind so that Raquel can't listen in on anything that's being said. My lady, what questions do you have for her?
At this stage, many of the questions I had have been at least touched upon. Unfortunately, it does seem that when they seek a culprit for this, when Raban seeks a culprit for this, we can't exactly point to his own house, can we? It's not as if
we cannot.
That's going to go anywhere. But it seems more and more likely that it's...
Please, lady, I apologize for interrupting.
It's all right. It seems more and more likely that I would not be surprised if it was indeed the Harkonnens that did away with this loose end themselves.
If it was the Harkonnens that have done this, I feel that there has only been a short period of time that they have been thrown completely under the bus. And I'm not entirely convinced that she's telling the truth. The drugs that I gave her, clearly, game recognized game. She definitely games. And she's not afraid of us. She might be afraid of the Harkonnen, and if she was, why would she immediately point to someone in their house? It would have taken a lot more convincing to get to that point.
You don't know what I said to her, Doctor.
I don't know. I have
no
no idea.
Let's go alongside...
Oh, I was just going to say Zev will spend a point of momentum to verify what she said.
Oh yeah, like she was terrified of you, and just like, yep, nope, here you go.
She was telling the truth.
At least, again, as far as she sees it.
As far as she is aware, she is telling the truth.
Yes. Still, what she said does support information that we were able to glean from a different source. Or at least a theory. And the more I hear, the more I find it plausible, at the very least.
But Big Worm was a big liability.
Oh, certainly. At this stage, it may behoove us to not so much seek the true culprit, but to seek a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
If our house is to continue surviving, someone else must take the blame for this action, lest we take the blame.
We have we have two parties on our ship that are interesting candidates, and we have our favorite house, Evanesque, who unfortunately...
We've already laid the groundwork for Evanesque.
True, but we need a
begun to.
body to point to. Not what I mean to say is not merely just a theory, hey, we think it's the Evanesque, but what I mean is a true scapegoat has a body. And the only bodies that we have here on the ship are us and the two other houses.
Perhaps not.
Perhaps not quite, yes. Hello, kitty. Go away. There is... We were able to glean information on another individual that seems to have positioned themselves on the ship. And, well, the description I received was certainly familiar, to say the least. There may be an Evanesque aboard.
Interesting. Have they been made? Do you know? Have you seen?
I haven't seen them for myself, but it should be a small matter to, now that we have a description, to scour the ship for them.
I mean, that should be easy, Zev. This place is bugged like no other.
Like
I mean,
nobody's
the security
business.
on the ship.
Yes.
Lord knows I know.
It will be taken care of quietly as soon as the shift rotates.
Though, I would like to speak to this individual before we decide to utilize them to, before we finalize any plans to utilize them as a scapegoat, I wish to speak to this individual. Let me,
of course,
put it that way. I have reason to believe that the note that I received might have come from this person in particular.
In the meantime, I would suggest that Raquel stays in this room. There is nowhere else we can actually keep her that she will not draw immediate attention to herself in any attempt to get away from here. I will have more questions for her, I'm certain, and I'm sure you will. And when Raul gets back, he may as well. There's a lot of moving pieces here.
Yes,
Talk about
there
loose
are,
ends.
and it would be best if we didn't take any action too hastily. We may be on something of a timer, even if we may not exactly know what the final call time is. But we at least should take time to analyze and plan, or we risk everything falling to pieces.
Perhaps it might help to let them stew with the feeling that there has been a final curtain call for her. If
Perhaps, but
if we just leave it hanging in the air right now, she could think that negotiations are still in play at some point. But if she feels as though all hope is lost after hearing whatever it is you said to her in there, Zev, that scared her clearly, and perhaps a final nail in the coffin and a farewell from Lady Cassandra, make her feel like the matter has already been decided and her fate is not good. And you come back to ask more questions, and Raul comes back to ask more questions that'll give her a glimmer of false hope, and perhaps might make her feel vulnerable enough to share more information, or at the very least, give more confirmation that she truly is telling the truth as a last-ditch effort to try to save her own life. Patients are sometimes pathetic like that.
Yes, well. I will leave the particulars in this instance to the two of you.
It's better if you're not seen anywhere near here.
Yes. Do keep me appraised.
Always.
Prize. Something.
We praise your name every morning we wake up.
Not quite what I meant.
Praise the sun.
Just keep me
Queen of the
informed.
North. Well, Zev, what's
Alright.
next?
Yeah.
Me? I don't have anything at the moment.
Well, I guess so. My question is basically, are you guys going to set up scouring the ship to find Amelia, or are you going to let that simmer a bit? Do you have anything else you want to do with Raquel, or are you leaving her to stew? Where are you going from here?
I'm planning to leave Raquel to stew for a little longer to think about exactly how much information she wants to give us in order to avoid a much, much worse fate. So probably at least for the rest of the day or so, not going to
Sure.
be back. And that would also, I guess, maybe depend on when Raul would be coming back timeline-wise.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will also not be coming back. I played my role in this, and I'll probably go and pray for a little bit.
Okay. So now, and again, are you going to be looking for Amelia or no?
Well, she was identified as a laundress.
Yes.
And if she's been on the ship for any length of time, she's been serving that purpose, meaning that she's at quote-unquote work right now. So if she's the laundress and she's matching the description provided to Cassandra, the guard would basically be waiting at the end of her shift to escort her to a different room.
Cool. All right, awesome. That's a good way to handle that too. So then, I imagine that all of you would like to talk to the good doctor, or I should say the other good doctor, regarding this predicament you all find yourselves in, and whether or not we want to have some Conley.
Okay, well, in that case, that would be something. I mean, none of us can. The only person who can actually do that is you, Cassandra. I can't declare.
But I
Conley or
imagine
anything.
all of you are involved
Oh,
in
yeah.
this scene.
Oh, sure. There's a room,
So,
I'm sure.
yeah. So, Cassandra, where are you inviting Dr. Kynes, and how are you also bringing the other two heads of the houses with you to this, or are they chilling out? Basically, who all is in the room? How is this being set up? Is this a clandestine sort of meeting where, you know, you're keeping the circle small? Is this a formal affair where you're making, you know, the demonstration of power and authority? Like, what message are you trying to sell here?
Let's go with the formal. I say we do this as formally as we can.
Okay.
So that set things up so that there's that position of power and whatnot.
And then are you also including the other two heads of house with you?
Well, if we are, you know, we might as well announce that we have negotiated at least a temporary cease of hostilities for the current. Yeah. So yes, let's do that.
Awesome. Okay, so basically, hang on a sec. So basically, we'll say that this is happening in that same, you know, large hall kind of space where, you know, you had it set up for those negotiations. Cassandra is at the head of the table, and I imagine Dahlia and Dimitri are flanked on either side. As you know, the heirs of noble houses in ranking order, descending then at the are like other various like commanders and lieutenants in your service, Cassandra. While obviously Dahlia is flanked by Tharja and Dimitri is flanked by Brand, and I imagine directly behind you you have Zev and Dr. Maharil, as well as Samuel, since Raul's on planet. So this is how you enter, Dr. Kynes. Can you describe what you do?
Well, in a remarkable sort of deja vu to our first meeting, I am going to take a quick look around, take in the scene, and simply sit at the table. What can I help you with today?
Well, first, thank you for coming. Given the previous proceedings, I felt it appropriate to announce that we have negotiated a cease in hostilities between House Adar and House Vesperis, considering the increase in quotas that have come down from Raban. We felt that all parties involved felt that it would be in the best interests of the well-beings of our houses to set aside those differences, at least for the foreseeable future. Though, there is another matter that I believe requires the attention of one such as yourself. Zev, would you please and she'll motion for Zevier to do his thing.
Through a rather exhaustive search concerning the events that have happened over the past however long we've been on this ship doing this, I forget exactly the timeline.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. During the past couple weeks, as we have attempted to host these proceedings and then also to find answers about what happened to the governor, there has been cause for us to lay some of the blame at the feet of saboteurs. House Evanesque, for all of its trying to find a word that actually would suit this, but I don't think one really exists. House Evanesque, in general, has been a thorn in the Lucinor side for longer than I'm aware of, actually. I'm sure that actually Zevier would know, like, to the day, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 10, 15 years.
Right, okay.
That seems about right. You know, like, because I imagine was kind of that youngish betrothal.
Right.
I'd say closer to like 10, 11, 10 to 12 probably, now that I think about it.
And now, after my apologies, I didn't realize I was giving a presentation. Zev goes on to detail the things that we have found between ship parts and information that we have gathered throughout the course of the investigation, including some witness testimony from less than reputable sources that still are there. And he presents the information to Dr. Kynes in the form of a data cube. This has all the information we have collected.
I see. Well then, it is enormously convenient that your old enemy has placed themselves so firmly in the destructive path of Raban and his soldiers. Now, from what I see on the data cube here, this all seems relatively thorough. However, in my capacity as judge over Conley, any extra information or evidence will be enormously helpful in adjudicating who and why the blame should ultimately rest with. But so I encourage you to pass on any more information that you get as you get it. I don't need the sources if they're protected, but the data itself will be very useful.
As I said, everything that I had is now with you.
Excellent. Now then,
I'll step back.
My remaining questions may be addressed to the Lady Lucinor or whoever is currently running on point for the military efforts, and that would be, what is your intended targeting to strike at them, and will there be, and what is the current estimate of collateral damage?
Oh man, I wish Raul was here. Okay. Like out of character.
You missed.
Really missed.
You got this.
The desire would be to keep collateral damage to as much of a minimum as possible. But with that in mind, see, I'm trying to think now. Is there?
Well, so remember, within the laws of the Great Convention, the whole reason that Conley is very strictly regulated is because it is to protect the civilian populace. So like, and especially for Ruckus, it is of the greatest importance that any sort of destructive things that happen, the harm that could come to harvesting spice and the spice mining operations needs to be like, you take that extra special care to make sure none of that gets interrupted or messed with.
Oh, sure. That really targeting that hadn't even entered my mind, because that would be like
Okay.
the worst idea.
In my
kind of counter to
experience.
what we actually need to accomplish. I'm trying to think what the best targeting choice would be, as far, and I'm assuming the three of us at least would have discussed this before coming into this meeting. But because like we would want to restrain the targeting to individuals of the house and in the direct service of the house, not their holdings, not their infrastructure, but the actual members of the house, because that's generally how this works.
If I may, a laser focused target that does not create any collateral damage that is beneficial to the Imperium. What has occurred needs to be rectified, and there must be swift and direct action with very, very little movement or disruption to the balance of things in the Imperium, because what they have done is created an imbalance, a great imbalance, which has unfortunately caused some challenging issues, not just for us, no, but for the Imperium at large.
Well, Dr. Maharil, I certainly appreciate your expanded perspective, and I'm sure the Emperor will be grateful that you are so concerned for his interests. If I understand correctly, what you're saying is some sort of directed poison attack inside their infrastructure, or potentially even luring them off-world to destroy them in space where there's no threat to the planet. If I'm understanding you correctly, that would be something that you're currently looking at.
Well, that surely would be a ideal, lady, please.
I think the name of the game, so to speak, in these situations is targeted assassinations. Not anything that would damage anything that they've established, merely targeting specific individuals.
Well then, if that's the case, then of course I am only empowered to speak on the Emperor's behalf, but I feel confident in the thought that the Emperor will see no problem with your actions here so far, and if you start to stray into dangerous territory, I'll be sure and alert you prior to any extreme actions that have to be taken.
Of course.
Well then.
Samuel would quietly pass Cassandra, like a digital readout pad, that has a very basic list of the what they've gleaned on the outside of the just from doing the basic what Raul's had been doing with the basic recon for the house. It is again, they are while you guys have focused on training soldiers and like creating militia forces, House Evanesque is more weapons and technology based. To that end, their householding is built like a fortress, and they are not within the walls of Arakeen, but like, or no, they are. Sorry, I take that back. So they are no, not Arakeen, Carthag. Sorry, that's where my head was. So like that Carthag is that like sort of lawless kind of place and everything. So the fact that they are that they have openly chosen this as like a place to have their holdings like in and of itself is a statement. And that they have a small infantry of their own, that they have a house shield, which is very interesting, because it means again they have the money to afford such a thing, and thankfully because cities are built on rocks and stuff like that, you are able to shield some select small areas. So they also have well obviously given shielding and everything like that, like projectiles aren't really a thing. That at least the ornithopters are equipped with some projectiles should they need to do bombardments or whatever like that. So it is all in all a you also would know that again they have been doing pretty well for themselves, so it is a lucrative prize, you would assume.
Indeed. Well, obviously the approach we don't want to take is the all-out assault. That's exactly what this is trying to avoid. That's why specifically she stated she stated targeted assassinations, not So she'll look over the list of stuff. Well, it will be no small matter. I am aware of this. Their defenses are quite substantial. It will likely be a matter of finding a weak point and ensuring that someone is able to slip in unnoticed. That's generally how these things go. Yes, Kitty, hi. I am out of character. I'm blanking on what to say. My brain is shut off.
If I may make a small suggestion.
Of course.
Such actions can be inordinately expensive, and speaking strictly out of in my non-professional capacity, it is a known fact that the universe does not run on Solaris, it runs on spice. So, if you should find any caches of spice from an untaxed reservoir that someone might have put somewhere, as long as the Emperor gets his cut, such things are considered a spoil of war.
Something I shall have to keep in mind. Thank you, Doctor.
However, I can be of help.
Well,
and with that, I think he will leave and retreat back to his room. But
All right. Did you guys want to talk amongst yourselves to debrief, or do you want to go straight to talking to Amelia?
I don't mind talking amongst ourselves for a little bit, just to kind of get on the same page. Well, once everyone's kind of dispersed, and this will be just a discussion for the three of us, not, you know, the other house heads or individuals, since this is very specifically between Lucinor and Evanesque. Well, needless to say, we will have our work cut out for us, won't we?
I'm surprised at how helpful.
Go ahead. You know what? Let's just do it this way. I'm tired too. Mark, go ahead.
Oh no! All I was saying is that I'm not surprised that he was so helpful. These are very, very wise suggestions, and I think that we should take that into consideration. And it feels as though we are reaching a pretty interesting impasse.
Before any real plans are drawn up, we will need to wait for Raul to come back.
I'm in agreement. I would prefer that all of us be able to discuss this matter at length. This is no small thing that we've set into motion, but I fear that it is necessary for the survival of this house. A pity that it had to come to this.
Well, it was always going to go there, wasn't it? 15 years. It's a long time. At some point, it would have gone to a head.
At some point. I will admit my father did not help matters, given his response to their continued interest in a match to bind the two houses together after my brother's passing. But it's not something that we can really undo, is it?
No, it's we shouldn't live so much in the past, but someone very wise told me that it's very hard to hold on to the future. So all we can do is hedge our bets, ride the current, and hopefully we're going down the path that we were supposed to be going down.
There are many paths, and unfortunately, it's hard to determine which one you're supposed to be going down until it's far, far too late to turn back.
Well, that's the trick, Lady Cassandra. We've been down all of the paths. each and every one of them. There's nothing to fear because we've seen the end of all roads.
There is no fear. Fear is the mind killer, as they say. It is a saying among the Order for a reason. In any case, we must not get so... Yes, we must not get so enamored with possible futures that we lose sight of the present.
Yeah, so we should have your chief security advisor part of those plans present.
Agreed.
Talk through those plans.
I had never intended to leave Raul out. It is unfortunate that business has kept him away from these negotiations thus far.
Yes, well, with
that will be
Raul,
rectified.
it's always serious business, so I'm sure he will come back with something very useful, as he always does. Hopefully he doesn't throw me out the airlock.
There will be no more people being thrown out the airlock today, I assure you.
It's still early.
On that note, I do find it interesting that the good doctor, made such a specific observation about spice caches. Makes me wonder if he knows more than he's letting on.
Yes, but I wouldn't be too distrustful. I guess maybe
no.
trust but verify, but a movement later of appreciation is perhaps due, I'm sure. You'll find something.
Indeed. I find that while I do not mistrust necessarily, it is still best to take note when someone knows more than you expect them to. It generally means that they might certainly be hiding more information that you aren't aware of. For now, though, we have a lot to do. Chief among them being able to determine where these particular spice caches that are friend in holding, where they might be located. If we can utilize them to smooth the process, then it will ease the burden on the house's coffers.
They'll be located. I'll send word to Raul immediately.
Now, I do think we have a matter of a wayward Evanesque to take care of.
Zev taps the back of the little comm dot behind his ear, or their ear, sorry. Waits for...
Sir, we have her. Yeah, you just hear that back.
She's in
holding
custody.
cell D3754.
That's a lot of cells on this ship. Okay.
It's a moderately sized ship. There are less cells than there are airlocks. Unless you count the
Good
airlocks as cells.
Yes.
I feel like
I didn't
airlocks
really
are full double duty, right?
Right?
The entire exterior
my
hull
God.
is just airlock doors. It's just all airlock.
Yeah, all of the airlock everywhere.
It's not a small ship. It's a cute ship.
This is the last time
man.
we let Raul design the ship. That's what we.
So anyway, are we doing shifts? Like,
Look, I believe that everyone is. I'm sorry, I gotta call out this comment in chat. What are airlocks but very temporary cells?
I know, right? I mean, it literally was used as a cell 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
to let the
B1 Sonic, you're a
doctors
couple
do.
episodes too late.
So let's do that and say that because this is one of Raul's people, that she is being held inside an airlock.
Yes.
And this time, keep the exterior door closed so that we don't get any wayward Benny Gesserit wandering past, going, "What's going on here?" That's
What's going on in this thread?
The Reverend Mother has entered the chat. I mean, what?
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah, we are all getting punchy at this point.
Right? So you make it to this airlock, and again, Raul's men are flanked on either side, and Samuel greets you. His hand seems to be bandaged a little bit, and when prompted, he just looks at Cassandra with that, like, I've seen some shit kind of stare, and says, "She bit me." And within the airlock, you see this woman who, is dressed in sort of the kind of semi-frumpy woolen warm grays of a laundress. She has like a loose veil holding her hair back, which you can see is that dark colored hair. She's on the shorter side, like probably 5'3", 5'4", and kind of has, while when you knew her, Cassandra, she was kind of full of, that youthful, I don't want to say innocence per se, but just that she had that look of someone who was sheltered and lived that life of privilege because of it. But this person that you see before you now is vastly different. Like, she has this sort of manic, almost unhinged energy about her. Her eyes are large and sort of wild, and but that very vibrant green. She when she sees you, and is like the sun has risen, and her whole expression just takes on this like
Was there no better place we could do this? Like, she'll say that to the guards. Like, was there no better place than an airlock for us to do this?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's standard operating procedure. Also, she bit me.
Yes. I suppose that's fair. And she'll...
Zev is trying very hard not to laugh, and it's a little obvious.
She'll, you use the intercom. And she'll, I'm sorry, your face at the camera. she'll click the intercom. What are you doing here?
My love. They tried to keep us apart, but even space can't keep me apart from you.
What? Like, there's just a brief, like bewildered, like, I don't even know how to respond to that. Emilia, what happened to you?
You called me by my name. I can't tell you how much I've dreamed of this moment. To hear your voice, to be in your presence, to hear you speak my name without just unfettered, without restraint, without any of these trappings of formality in the Landestrad. Oh, it's finally happening!
You were the one that left that letter, weren't you?
Did you get it?
Yes, I received it.
Did you like it?
I need you to focus.
I am focused. You're here. What else would I be focused on?
She'll click the intercom off. And she'll look at the others and she'll go, I don't think we're going to get any lucid answers from her.
What is that?
I don't know. This is not... The last time I encountered her, this was not how she behaved.
You've encountered this person before. By choice?
I mean, I would, out of character, I would assume by choice. I mean, we had encounters.
Yes.
Briefly.
Your families, your families were close. I mean, again, you were set to marry her brother initially.
She was set to marry my brother.
Yes, it's late.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I've had a long day. I know there was a brother in there. Anyway, during the courtship kind of thing, there was always obviously like contracts and negotiations. She is closer to Cassandra's age, maybe a little bit older, but she kind of had that like Ginny Weasley energy to you back in the day, that kind of shy, but demure, very like noble, and again that kind of like she is kept as a precious flower that we need to keep safe and like protect.
So the sheltered girl snapped, is what I'm hearing.
This is a
Oh, no.
this is a sick person. This person is sick. This is a person who is sick and needs help.
She has a sickness of the mind. Clearly. I cannot fathom what must have happened to make her this way. Is she just making that face through the whole time? Like,
Yes. It makes my face hurt. So.
She's like Cassandra is specifically not looking directly at her. Like she is.
Yes.
Like I can't seriously do that. Doctor, is there anything you could give her to make her lucid?
So that type of treatment is not overnight. That type of treatment takes a little bit longer to kind of kick in. And I am confident that Shanti is well equipped. but it's going to take some time.
Of course.
This is not something that I could just pump her full of a drug and get her to snap out of it. This is something very different than this doesn't seem temporary.
No, it doesn't. And I can't get answers out of her like this. I would like to understand what happened.
I don't think it's a good idea to make this person feel like they are a prisoner or treat them as such. But at the same time,
she is the daughter of a noble house. Find appropriate chambers for her and see to it that she remains under guard the entire time. I do not want her slipping out unexpectedly. She is obsessed and is a danger to my person. Clearly. She just doesn't even look.
yeah, it's gonna have to be one of the rooms where with the round tables, so that she doesn't hurt herself with like the
no sharp
sheets.
edges. No
sharp edges.
No shoelaces.
Oh, I'm sure we have at least one room like that somewhere.
Oh yeah. Do you remember when I ate that mushroom? It was like a week.
Which time?
I needed to be in that room. The third time.
Oh.
The time I ate your shoes. And we definitely have a room that is well equipped. It's the tweak out room, as I like to refer to it as. And we could perhaps we could have security bring her there, lock it from the outside, and then Shanti can start treatment and figuring out what is going on with her to see if it's something that's chemically induced or
in
otherwise.
The meantime, is there some kind of sedative that we can pump into the airlock so that she can be moved without biting anyone else?
Oh yes,
well,
of
we
course.
can certainly pump something out of the airlock and make that happen.
I can't.
Won't
I can't
kill her.
allow
It'll
that to
just
happen.
put her to sleep.
I have an idea. She'll click the things on. I'm going to need you to do something for me.
Anything for you, darling. Oh my god, I get to serve you. That's what I've always wanted.
These men, and she points to the guards, are going to escort you to nicer accommodations. I'm going to need you to stay there. And please don't bite anyone. Is that understood?
As long as it's near you.
I'll see what we can do.
Near you.
Click. She doesn't even wait for it to finish. It just clicks it off. Like she'll wherever it needs to be. Like not anywhere, like actually anywhere near her, but like, you know, whatever she needs to tell her to get her to go there.
You should probably walk her to the room.
If
she would be more likely to go, I think.
Would that even be safe, is my concern. I am not certain what she's capable of like this.
Oh, I don't mean by yourself. I mean with Raul's guards.
Oh, no, I mean with Raul's guards, but I still don't know what she's capable of like this. Unpredictability increases the danger regardless of whether there are guards or not.
What if you give her a picture of yourself? Do you have like a wallet-sized passport photo?
Did you carry your headshots with you?
Maybe that's all the convincing she needs, and then you can kind of leave the room, and she's got her.
I assure you, there are probably many shots of Cassandra in whatever living quarters she has.
God, there's a shrine, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
It
Not
is.
there will be.
On the ship, there's just not a lot of room for that kind of thing, and she's a laundress, so her living quarters is essentially a bunk. It's not so much pictures as it is scritchings on a wall,
Yes.
but it has your name at the bottom, really tiny.
there is also, like, you know, she has taken like the little scraps of fabric, like old socks and garments that have fallen apart, and created a series of dolls that are lovingly recreated to look like Cassandra. They all have just perfectly detailed, like, with whatever spare scraps of things she has managed to find.
If you find any of that, you burn it. You- don't even tell me. Just burn it. Like,
Yeah, like again, like Samuel has this look on his face like he's seen some shit. And he will very politely offer,
Can we just sanitize the room completely? Because I honestly believe that
Please.
would be the best option.
please. just
All right.
whatever
I'll
you need to
get my
do,
flamethrower.
just take care of it.
I'll get my flamethrower.
But
don't
yes,
worry.
if I'm like, I feel weird just doing this, but she clicks the button, she clicks it back on and goes, if you go calmly and stay put, I promise I will visit you again.
I can be good.
Thank you. She'll click it off. I need to go. See to it that she's moved. I think she'll behave now. If not, sedate her.
Well, I'll have Samuel move her to one of the padded rooms as far away from everybody's quarters as possible.
Please.
It's like on the lowest deck of the ship, behind the maintenance closet, just out of the way.
So, what is important to note is that, like, while you're walking, she's like, "But Lady Cassandra's room is that way," and to the.
We're taking a little
so,
bit
like,
of a different route so that we can make sure that you are physically okay. Don't worry, she'll be along shortly.
but-
She prepared a special room for you.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Said something about a gift.
A gift for me? She loves me.
Okay. If you
always
keep
wanted.
if you
Okay.
keep breathing like that, I'm gonna have to sedate you.
Why would you do something like that?
Out of respect for
It's
the
my
lady,
life.
Cassandra.
I am also a lady of noble rank. What are you?
That is a philosophical question that I'm not fully prepared to answer right now. But what I do want is I want to ensure that you get your gift as I was ordered by the lady. Your love.
Oh, God. Okay.
So you take her there. And I assume lock the door, right?
Oh yeah, like triple.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a soundproof room. It's yeah.
Shoot the key out the
Alright,
airlock, you know.
It's got like the
Oh,
walls
God.
that are cushiony.
Yeah. I
There's
can dig it,
cartoons
I can
playing
dig
on a
it.
little monitor in there.
Oh my god.
There's actually a light. There's a pink light that basks everything in pink, and everything is kind of colored like a kind of a pink hue, because psychologically it puts people's minds at ease. After a few hours, it probably does something different,
Pretty
but
cool.
for now,
I do think an effort to help keep her calm, and to also because she is a lady of noble station, Cassandra will have clothing. Nothing too ostentatious or weird, but like just a regular like noble outfit, like
Yes.
clothing befitting of her station, brought there so that she's not, you know, sitting there in the dingy garments of a laundress the entire time.
Yes.
Play it off as a gift, whatever you want. She'll tell them, like, tell her it's
Yeah.
a gift or something. I don't care.
I
Like, whatever keeps her calm and lets us, and it makes it easier to handle her moving forward.
All right. Is there anything else you guys would like to do? Otherwise, I think we have gone quite a bit over.
Yes.
So first of all, I want to thank everybody for sticking with us for this extra 45 minutes. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Because, oh my god, that was great. And I'm glad that we got to see a bunch of things come into fruition. I want to also, again, I guess let's go around the thing and, give sort of where your character is at as we're ending everything. And also, don't forget to plug yourselves. So let's start with Jace.
Right now, Zev is taking a lot of the information in and planning a list of more exhaustive questions for Raquel. Trying not to be annoyingly amused by the other situation currently unfolding, as he doesn't mean any disrespect, but it's hard not to laugh. It's been a day, and I have a lot of information to assimilate at this point.
Our Mentat got to do Mentat things.
Yeah.
Sorry I was absent last week.
Don't
Last
apologize. We're all good. Where can we find you?
At Jace Ridley, pretty much everywhere. And yeah, come find me. I'm hopefully going to be getting back on stream myself soon. Aside from this.
Yay! Awesome. Let's bring it over to Lady Lucinor.
Ooh, well, it hasn't just been a day. Given that these were little vignettes that were kind of jumping around a bit, it's been several days. Several days. I would say that Cassandra is suitably horrified. Not just because, like, hey, crazed stalker, but also this was a person that was never like this previously. And this is a level of derangement I have never seen. So she, as much as she wants to get to the bottom of it, though, she also recognizes that this might actually serve their purposes. So, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Very convenient.
It is very convenient. Unfortunately convenient. Well, you can find me on Twitter at LexiPhoenix. I do a lot of stuff. I write, I design games. I've got a short story coming out in an anthology eventually.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter for the Kickstarter of which came up, just started up today actually. So we're
Our
just kicking
tech
that
guy
off.
in the sky can post that link, that would be fantastic. Please check out Allie's
Even-
Kickstarter.
May even have a link myself that I can just drop
Yeah.
if it'll let me. I don't know if it
Welcome,
will.
readers.
I dropped the
we
link.
Yeah.
Also, I will be on the Dungeon Scrawlers channel on Saturday for our big Extra Life event for 24 full hours of basically nonstop D&D content.
Wow.
Some of which I'll be playing in, a lot of which I'll be modding for. So come check us out.
Yeah. All right. Bring it over to Mark.
Hello, I'm Mark Q. Anderson of Mondo Kane Publishing. I play Dr. Maharil, who is the calmest he has been in quite some time. This boy's sleeping at night, despite what's going on around him. You can find me on Twitter at Marchosius with 5s instead of S's. It'd be really cool if you follow at Mondo Kane Pub on Twitter as well. As far as streaming, all I have is this. This is Dune. Dune is my life, and this is all I do. Outside of that, say hi to me on Twitter. I don't know. Do cool things for yourself.
Yeah. Let's finally bring it over to James, our fabulous guest, the indomitable Dr. Elliot Kynes.
Hi there, I'm James. I play Dr. Kynes. And he is relatively pleased because everything is going according to his plan. But, as for myself, as always, I cannot be found. Do not attempt to do so.
All right. Thank you, James. All right. So I've been Jen. I go by SavageSparrow on the internet. If you dig me at SavageSparrow most places, SavageSparrow.com is my super awesome website for cool, nerdy apparel and accessories. If you are convention people, I will be at KomoriCon in Portland this weekend, and Anime NYC coming up, I think, after that. I don't know how time works. Anyway, I'm going places. Be in your space. Follow me on Twitter to find out where I am at any given point in time. Otherwise, as far as streaming goes, for the new people joining us, we stream Dune every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. We also have all of our previous episodes on YouTube, as well as the VODs on the Weave the Channel Tale. If you've liked what you've seen, and our incredible cast of role players, please do give us a follow. There are so many great games happening on this channel. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors, Modifius Entertainment for this stream, Green Ronin Publishing, Free League Publishing, and Imagining Games, because we're running like Chew and Mutants and Masterminds and Aliens. It's so great. There's also a bunch of one-shots that happen every Wednesday, so there's always new cool things happening on this channel. And also on our sister channel, Penny for a Tale, I play in our Pathfinder game every Sunday. So please check that out also. Otherwise, I think that's about it. And so let us close with the spice flow. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it with my fingers.
I am too tired.
It's good.
I'm gonna
It's
do
good.
it.
It's good.